Hello Nidorinas and Nidorinos, I'm KingNido and welcome to Victory Road A2 of the PokeType League TCG as we have the Cinnabar Blazes going up against the Turrfield Ebonies in our qualifying final. Now whoever loses this matchup between the second and third place side will not be eliminated. They will move on to the minor semi-final, whereas for the winner they will go on to face the Olivine Raiders with an opportunity to move straight to our Champions game. So with that said, let us know in the comments below who you think is going to win this matchup. Will it be the fire decks? Will it be the grass decks? Let's go!
3, 2, 1, go!
And going first, it is going to be that Flint Lockwood deck of the Cinnabar Blazes going up against the Pollen Puff deck of the Turrfield Ebonies. And for the qualifying final and every other match inside of Victory Road, all three decks of a team have to win for them to move on. We will play until that occurs, as it is the Rocky Helmet being pulled for the Blazers as they have moved the Sizzlipede into the active spot. They've got the two center switches in hand and they have put the Rocky Helmet onto the Sizzlipede. It is the Combee in the active spot for that Pollen Puff deck as they do pull the Cherrim, but neither side have a second basic Pokemon. They are going to put the Giant Cape though onto the Combee, and we can see that Vespiquen in hand with that Reckless Charge. It does 120, but they can't get it online on this turn. They could go for the Bug Bite, but they will get that 20 recoil damage, and they would have to deal with that weakness that the Cinnabar Blazers have that Fire type advantage over these grass decks. It is the Professor's Research being pulled for the Blazers, so they get another two cards. They get the Pokemon Center Lady, they get the Makago, still no second basic Pokemon though, and these two sides are the only two returning teams from Season A1 Victory Road. They were able to make it through again. The top three teams from last season did not make it, and both the Blazers and the Ebonies were unable to win a game inside Victory Road last season, so this is huge for them with this opportunity. It is the Team Rocket Grunt being pulled for the Ebonies. They do think of evolving the Combee as they get that second energy onto it, and they're looking at their options here. Do they want to leave that Combee in the active spot? It will take 30 damage from that Gnaw of the Sizzlipede. They are thinking of ending their turn. They don't want to rush this. They want to try and get the early advantage here. Again, they need all three decks to win so that they can move on to that major semi-final. As the Blazers do pull their potion, the Vespiquen now being online for the Ebonies. Again, they've got those Center Scorches in here, but they require 4 energy to be able to evolve. And they're going to play the Team Rocket Grunt. They want the energy off the Vespiquen, but they get the Tails. That is not the coin flip they need, because that Vespiquen can do 120 damage. It can wipe the Sizzlipede off into the discard pile. They do get a second energy onto the Sizzlipede as they're thinking of whether or not to evolve it, and they absolutely should unless they're willing to give up this game one this early. It looks like both these sides are running the risk of potentially bricking in this game one, and this is not a best of 3 series. This could be a maximum a best of 5 series unless we see a tie, and we have seen 2 of them so far in Season A2 of the PokeType League TCG. They do play their own Team Rocket Grunt, do the Ebonies, and they also flip a tail, so no energy is removed from the Center Scorch that is now online, but that Center Scorch is about to take 120 damage from the Reckless Charge. But with that said, the Vespiquen does take 30 recoil damage from the Reckless Charge itself, plus another 20 from the Rocky Helmet. It only has 40 health remaining as the Blazers pull the Slugma. They have a benched Pokemon, as that Oddish is also on the side of the Ebonies, so both sides finally get in a benched Pokemon. The Blazers do get an energy onto the Slugma, knowing that the Center Scorch cannot outlast another turn. It does have that 3 energy retreat cost, and they do have the Makago in hand, who does need 2 energy. And they do send it over to the Ebonies, who pull their Pierce Vespiquen. It can do 70 damage, but they've got the Gloom in hand, and they are going to get that online onto the Gloom. It only requires 1 energy as well. And they do decide to get that energy onto the Gloom. They can go for another Reckless Charge here. It will leave the Vespiquen as an extremely easy target, but it will get that Center Scorch off the board. But they don't want to drop the point here. Instead, they're going to retreat the Vespiquen with the Razor Leaf. That gets the Center Scorch off the board. The Gloom is going to take the 20 damage recoil, as the Vespiquen would have actually been eliminated because of the 30 of that Reckless Charge. It would have been wiped off the board. This does give the Ebonies the first point as it comes back over to the Blazers, moving the Slugma into the active spot. They do pull their Heat Rotom, so they can get another Pokemon onto the bench, but before they even worry about that, they get the Makago with that Searing Flame, 30 damage, an extra 20 for the weakness, and it will leave the burn on the Gloom, which means the Blazes are capable of getting their own point back, as they've also got the Heat Rotom now online. They get the Giant Cape onto the Makago, taking its health all the way up to 140, but as we said, this Searing Flame 50 damage onto the Gloom, leaving it with the burn that does 20 damage. They do get the burn checkup, but it doesn't matter because that Gloom is now in the discard pile, and the Blazers get their point back. Both sides looking to get the early advantage here as they're trying to move on to that major semi-final. Major semi-final. It's the trials that we have in the PokeType League VGC on our other channel. But by all means, feel free to check that out with the description below. But it is that best Pokemon back in the active spot, getting its second energy, but it only has 40 health left, which is perfect for the Blazers. They pull the Dawn, but they don't care about that because already this Flint Lockwood deck, taking its second point, is going to take down the Pollenpuff deck, which means the Flint Lockwood deck has qualified, but they still need their Flamethorn and Fire Spit Island decks to win for the Cinnabar Blazers to move on to that major semi-final. But here we are with our game reset, and if you're enjoying what you're seeing, make sure to subscribe and leave a like so you don't miss out of any of the action inside Victory Road A2 of the PokeType League TCG. The Ebonies with their Flower Paradise deck move the Turtwig into the active spot. It is the Fire Spit Island deck of the Cinnabar Blazers with the Vulpix. Once again, both sides only pulling one basic Pokemon. The Ebonies pulling the Grottle, and they've already got that Torterra in hand, who has the capability 150 damage with the Frenzy Plant. The Blazers pull a Pokeball, so they're guaranteed a basic Pokemon. They've also got the Professor's Research. They get the Heatran. We can see the Magmortar in hand. They've got the Pokemon Communication and Giant Cape as they play the Professor's Research. They get the Ninetales already, plus their second Magmortar, and they are looking through their hand about how they want to approach this. And it looks like they're going to play the Pokemon Communication, but what will they send back into their deck? They are going with one of the two Magmortar, and they are trying to get another Pokemon back out of their deck, getting the second Heatran. You have to wonder, were they trying to get a Magma in hand for that Magmortar? Regardless, they have a Heatran now on the bench as they get an energy onto that Vulpix. That Tail Whip can only prevent damage being done to it in the next turn, but Turtwig does require 2 energy to go on the offensive as the Ebonies pull their own Giant Cape here, and they are going to get that Grottle online. It has 100 health, which means it can't actually outlast a hit from the Ninetales. The Ebonies are running the risk of not having a full bench again, and this could cost them here in game 2. They don't want to brick here either. This could be the worst case we've ever seen of bricking in the PokeType League TCG. They get an energy onto the Grottle. As the Blazers pull the Pokemon Center Lady, the Ninetales is online. It does 90 damage with this Flamethrower plus the extra 20 for the weakness. Grottle will have 10 health remaining. Ninetales does have to discard an energy. It is the Professor's Research being pulled by the Turrfield Ebonies. They need a basic Pokemon in this. They get an X-Speed. They get the Dawn. This is terrible for this Flower Paradise deck. They get the Torterra online. It's only got 70 health here though. That is not enough, and it requires 4 energy for that Frenzy Plant. They can't play the Pokemon Center Lady, which frees up the Cinnabar Blazers. They pull their Magmortar again, but it is the Flamethrower from the Ninetales, and already this Fire Spit Island deck is going to get the victory. And the Cinnabar Blazers are looking for a clean sweep after going out in straight series last Victory Road. They do not want to have that happen here again. They're coming in with a purpose. They want to go and face the Elvine Raiders, and the Raiders don't want that because they lost to the Cinnabar Blazers earlier on in the season because they also have a weakness here. But now the Blazers only need this Flamethorn deck to get a win. The Ebonies trying again with their Flower Paradise deck. They've got the Shaman in the active spot. It's the Ponyta for the Blazers with that Paldean Taurus on the bench, and they've already got that Rising Lunge Rapidash in hand. It is the second Ponyta being pulled for the Cinnabar Blazers. They immediately get that online. They've also got the Rocky Helmet and the Iono, as they are going to send it back over to the Ebonies. It seems there's not much else they can do, so it's a fair play. The Ebonies pulling the Torterra. Once again, they still need a second basic Pokemon as they play that Pokemon Communication. So they're going to send the Torterra back into the deck, hoping to get some other basic Pokemon in hand, and they get the other Torterra back in their hand. They put the Rocky Helmet onto the Shaman, but this Ponyta with the Stomp, it does 10 damage. If they flip a heads, it does an additional 30, so that's 40 damage. But if that happens, it will also do another 20 damage because Shaman is weak to the fire types. The Blazes could take this series right here. They put the Rocky Helmet onto the Ponytail, but realistically, all that matters is whether or not they flip a heads or a tails with this stomp, and the Turrfield Ebonies are running the risk of bricking again, and it is a heads. The Blazes already are moving on to the major semi-final. Fortunately for the Ebonies, they do get that second chance, having come into Victory Road in third place, but they will move on to the minor semi-final to go up against the winner of the Petalburg Razors and the Kitakami Rogues, whereas it will be the Blazers going up against the Raiders with a chance to move straight into that Champions game. But with that said, Nidorinos, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you thought the best card was, and if you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a like, share, subscribe, but more importantly, always remember, send thanks, and I'll see you when you see me.